Jim, nice to talk to you, man. Hi.
Good to talk to you, Chris. Thank you. Always enjoy it.
I know you've had an extraordinarily busy day. I'm seeing you and hearing you all over the place, but if we can just take a moment, I wanted to say this publicly, and I haven't had a chance. You initiated this, and I wanted to say thank you very much for what you did in the assembly to honor my dad's passing. It meant the world to me, and I just wanted to say I want people to know you did it because it was really, really cool. And
that's the joy of the job. I really do enjoy that opportunity to highlight and say thank you, and to just let folks know that there are really, really good people in the world, and when they pass, we need to say so, because that not only honors them, but it encourages us to live our lives in ways that will honor them.
Thank you very much. Again.
Thank you, man.
Now we're going to talk in a minute about the bill that you were going to put on the floor of the Senate, state Senate, tomorrow, but I wanted to get your take, as you're following it as closely as anybody, about this meeting today. I'm assuming by this point it has been concluded, and is there any result on whether or not the High-Speed Rail Authority is going to get another $35 million?
Well, my head's been down, and I've been doing a lot of work up in Sacramento and a lot of other things. Exactly, but to me, I think it's foregone conclusion. When the High-Speed Rail Authority puts it up on their agenda and they ask for it, it gets done. So regardless of the merits and the backstory, my guess is that it will happen. But there's a much bigger issue here, and I think that's with respect to what is actually taking place. So we're digging some dirt in Fresno,
right,
and we're making some trenches, and then we're doing some rail work in Los Angeles and up in San Jose.
Right.
But the problem is that there's a connection between San Jose, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and there's no money to finish. They're $45 billion short of connecting everything. And so this, to me, this looks like panic. This looks like a high-speed rail authority that is making it up as it goes along. This is an authority that actually knows that they are short $45 billion, and they keep pressing ahead. And every time the Los Angeles Times or Ralph Vardabedian or others dig into this and start reporting what's really going on, it just seems like the High-Speed Rail Authority doubles down on the bright, shiny object, without really being straightforward and honest with us about how far away they are from being able to finish up the plan.
Well,
I think this is just a moving object where they just say there's nothing going on over there, but hey, there's certainly something going on over here. And I'm just tired of it, and I think we're getting a song and dance, a tap dance.
I think that they absolutely are playing whack-a-mole on the problem. Well, they're never admitting to the problem. They're simply playing whack-a-mole, so we don't think there's a problem. I really latched on to something you said at the beginning of that, which is nobody ever says no. So what's another $35 million or to $50 million to say, we're running out of time, so we got to get this done? Well, the time is relative. It's an arbitrary date, and if nobody ever says no, why would they stop asking?
Well, all I can tell you is that after Governor Brown is gone, there is not a Republican on the horizon, nor is there, read Gavin Newsom, a Democrat on the horizon that is going to continue this. So the reality here is that the legislature is starting to have buyer's remorse, and I think they're going to pass my accountability bill off the Senate floor probably tomorrow, maybe next week. I think the governor's going to get it. Let's see what happens. I think there's an increasing number of Democrats who are saying, oh, geez, I mean, every time we look up, there's a bigger problem. And the big problem is that we're not being told the truth. Look, leadership requires telling people the truth. Governor Brown knows they're $45 billion short, and there's no way of closing that gap. The legislature knows. Matt Taylor, the nonpartisan legislative analyst, knows it. It's an open secret in Sacramento that this thing can't be finished. Well, then why are we throwing more and more money after it? What the governor needs to do and the legislature needs to do is to say, look, this is not what the voters approved. We're going to go back to the voters. We're going to do the right thing by them and say, this is what it's going to cost. We're $45 billion short. Are you going to give us more money? Will you go more in debt? Is this something you want? And at least have the respect afforded the voters to weigh in on this. If you don't, all you're doing is having an out-of-control government and an out-of-control high-speed rail agency doing whatever the hell they want to do, and that is not responsible government.
For those of you listening who might have raised an eyebrow when a Republican assemblyman in California predicted that his bill would pass on the Senate floor, let me throw this at you. I think Assemblyman Patterson may be right. The bill was already by the way, it's AB 2847. If you want to raise, approved unanimously on the consent on the Assembly Appropriations and Transportation Committee, as well as on the Assembly floor, and through the Senate Transportation Committee. So now you, in going on the Senate floor,
and by the way, it got through the Appropriations Committee on the Senate.
It did.
On the floor, which means the place where if Kevin De Leon wanted to kill it, he could have killed it in a probes, and it got on the floor. That tells you the buyer's remorse that is taking place with respect to the Democrats. They are seeing the handwriting on the wall as well. And so I think we are seeing the worm turn. And my hope is that the worm that turns is that the governor and the legislature and those in charge of high-speed rail, just sort of tell us the truth and ask permission to do this new deal. And if it requires $45 billion more dollars, ask permission of the voters to tax themselves and indebt themselves for it. The reason that they won't do it, Chris, is because they know that the voters, given half a chance to express their wishes, would say no. Why? Because they're driving on highways and roads and streets that are falling apart.
Right.
And if we're going to spend $45 billion, you go fix our roads, highways, and streets and ports.
Well, so then, quickly before we go to break here, you sound like a very convenient legislator for them, for a liberal pet project that's gone utterly upside down and south, so that they can always just point to those darn Republicans who stopped the train. So I think you've got a moment in time here, Jim. I really do.
Well, I do, and I think that sooner or later truth will out, and sooner or later people who have to face election and re-election over and over again have to really come to this moment where they say, who do I really represent? Here's what I think the worm is turning. After this election, every single member of the California legislature will be under a brand new set of term limits. They will either have 8 more years to serve, 10 more years to serve, or 12 more years to serve, which means every single member of the California legislature will be around when this high-speed rail buckles and blows up. I don't think any of them want to be tarred and feathered with turning their back on the public, not taking their responsibility serious with respect to being watchdogs of the public purse. And so I think conservation might very well be at work here.
KMJ, we are talking with Assemblyman Jim Patterson, who has a bill going to the Senate floor tomorrow. It's AB 2847, talking about high-speed rail. Jim was quoted beautifully yesterday by saying that they can't get all the land. They don't have enough money. They're running out of time. Now we need an additional $50 million to move a 2-mile stretch of road, the 99. According to Caltrans, they're going to start cutting corners to get the job finished, all to build a train that won't be high speed on a track that is already obsolete. It has sailed through Assembly Committee and the floor and the Senate Appropriations Committee. And Jim has outlined that pretty perfectly as to why the people are starting to see that the boondoggle is the boondoggle. What do you make, though? And we never say no to them with the money. Caltrans spokesman Matt Rocco saying, we're only asking for 35 even though we need 50 because we're going to cut corners such as using asphalt versus concrete. And this is the one that befuddles me, Jim. Taking a look at aesthetics on the 99.
The last thing we need is 2.5 miles of very expensive moving of the 99, only to find that it's going to be asphalt and that they're not. It's going to still be ugly. I mean, to me, this is the. I mean, look, I think Fresno is getting taken for a ride on this.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good possibility we're going to be left with a lot of scars in the landscape, a lot of very, very expensive trenches and tunnels and all of that. Because at the end of all of this, you have to ask, what's the end game? You can, without $45 billion more dollars, you cannot connect the bookends and you can't connect the middle. How many people set out to build their house and decide that they'll construct a garage and one bedroom and then hope they can find additional money to have the bathrooms in the living room? I mean, that's what high-speed rail is doing. My bill says, look, you have to present a clear business plan, a business plan that says, what are you going to do? How are you going to find the money? When you're in debt, you got to show us the principal and interest over time. We're shining a bright light on it because if we don't do that, the tap dance will continue. Look, I've been tough on high-speed rail authorities. I've said this is what it looks like when the Three Stooges build a railroad. But that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
If you cannot complete a project between Los Angeles and San Francisco that competes with Southwest Airlines, that meets the speed requirements and has a ticket price tag that people can afford, you're whistling through the graveyard.
Then it becomes a ride we all take once to see if to be on a train that goes fast.
But by the time this all gets laid out, here's what we're missing. What we're missing is the opportunity to improve our highways, our roads, our streets, our ports. And we're also missing, and this is really important, we're missing the opportunity to improve Amtrak up and down Central California. And what I mean by that is we're missing the opportunity to go over the grapevine with Amtrak. For pennies on the dollar, we can have a decent, relatively fast train system that does what we need to have done without blowing the bank, on what amounts to a Disneyland ride.
Exactly. And it's been proven, Jim, by the very great success of the Amtrak San Joaquin line. It's one of the most successful lines in Amtrak's national system.
Here's my case for the future. And people say to me, Jim, well, you just don't have any vision. Yeah, I do. I just think leadership has to, leadership is vision that cash flows, for crying out loud. It has to make sense, or you can't. The vision is nothing more than a pipe dream. The Acela back on the East Coast is not high-speed rail, but it's fast train. Mm-hmm. And the difference between high-speed rail, which is very, very expensive, and reasonably fast rail, is the price tag to get it done. It is done along the existing railroad route, so you're not ripping up prime ag land. You're not ripping up, taking people's private property. You've got the rights of way already. What we're missing is the opportunity for pennies on the dollar to improve Amtrak up and down the state of California, get beyond Bakersfield. If you can do it on the existing tracks that are there, up over the Grapevine and into L.A. And so while they've got this shiny object over here that isn't going to happen,
the trench,
we're left with a train system that is third world.
Jim, I got to ask you in the 2 minutes we got left.
Yeah.
This thing is going to collapse of its own weight. You've delineated that clearly here. I think anybody with a brain can see that the $45 billion will never appear. It collapses of its own weight. What do you think, based on what you know and see, we'll be left with? All the way to from San Jose to Los Angeles to the Fresno corridor to the Central Valley corridor. What are we?
Yeah,
what just physically is left for us? Holes in the ground?
Maybe, but a very, very expensive alternative route for Amtrak. That's what's going to be left.
You think?
In other words, it might. If you got a tunnel, Amtrak might divert off of and use it. I don't know. All I know is that if they don't come to terms with the false narrative here and deal with the $45 billion shortfall, all they're doing is creating low-speed rail up in San Jose and low-speed rail down in Los Angeles, trenches and underpasses in Fresno. This is like an internet that won't load.
Yeah, and screwing up Caltrains on the peninsula, which is a very needed commodity for people up there.
Yeah, it's a lost opportunity to do all kinds of other really good things. For the price tag of high-speed rail, we could be improving our roads, streets, highways, and ports, and we could be improving for pennies on the dollar the Amtrak routes. Get from Bakersfield without having to ride a bus. There's all kinds of things to improve what we can do. The idea that we're going to have a high-speed rail in Fresno where people are going to work in San Francisco, pay $35,000 a year for round-trip tickets, 260 days, Monday through Friday, in order to live in Fresno because the home prices are cheap, and go up to the Bay Area to work because the paychecks are great. Mm-hmm. That is just the most wishful thinking to try and justify something that just simply, it's a square peg trying to be driven into a round hole, and sooner or later, you break the hammer.
I'm really short on time, but I've got to ask this question. Amy, forgive me. We'll get to you in just a second here. But they keep talking about the running out of time, time limits, time deadlines. I've seen them come and go before. Are they real? Is somebody really taking something away if they don't hit a mark pretty soon?
Yeah, well, the feds are going to be forced to. They've got to spend all of their federal money, and they've got to spend all of the bond money. My guess is that they will spend all of that. Because it's in the pipeline and nobody's going to tell them no. But what happens when the cash drawer is empty? They've got to go somewhere to find $45 billion to complete it. I don't know where they're going to find it, and they better be honest with us and say so now and deal with it now. That's why I say go back to the voters, ask them permission, thumbs up or thumbs down. If it's thumbs down, so be it. The people have spoken. Let's go on.
Okay, Jim, I got to go, but it's AB 2847. Everybody, good luck on